All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's showing of LMP Thunder Series. We have been working diligently on trying to get the new stream up and running on the new machine. So bear with us for sure, as I'm still trying to figure some things out here and make that work. For some reason or another, that side doesn't seem like it wants to work, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's see. Interesting. All right. Well, maybe that'll square up here shortly, hopefully. Then again, maybe it won't. As you can see, we got all of our cars on the track. Give me one moment. I'll be right back with you. All right, here we go, folks. New machine. Hopefully everything's coming in sound-wise pretty good. I hope it ain't too loud. We are... Ooh, that probably is way too loud. Let me turn that down a smidge. All right, hopefully that'll help things out a little bit, make it not too loud. Looks like Dana Dern's going to help do some track marshaling. Also, Gabriel Curley there taking a look at a car there. So you can also tell, too, that we have a few things going awry here. My head is completely too humongous. Uh-oh. One second, folks. There we go. All right, now YouTube is live. You are able to message on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook for any questions that you may have, or any problems maybe with the stream. Like I said, tonight is our first night running on the new machine, running a 13 Gen i9 13900K unlocked CPU. Just in comparison between this one and our previous machine. Our previous machine right now was running right at, I think we would say, anywhere from 50 to 60% usage. Right now we're running at 5% usage, 4% for the most part. As for the GPU, we're running a 4090, the best that you can get currently right now. And where we were used to running anywhere from 50 to 60, we're now running anywhere from 15 to 19%, as we got most of it running through the video card. Brother was telling me earlier that it was processing quite well. I'm going to have to eventually go back and fix the difference between our frames per second on our output and our input. Right now, currently, bit rate and all included, I was going to start the stream in 4K, but I've reverted back to 1080p simply because of the big mix match between the two, because I forgot to change it as the stream. So I need to stream in 4K if I'm going to process the 4K video. So right now we're at 1080p and we're 30 frames different from one another, but I think it's still coming through pretty smooth. You guys be the judge. If not, my lips are probably off by a little bit, I would say, from the voice that you're hearing. Simply because we're 30 frames different. And that's my fault when we started the stream. Of course, I've been doing several test streams all day long, and like I said, it might take a week or so for me to get everything on the up and up. This whole week's been a tumultuous week for sure. We had to set up all of the VR, the new monitor that come in. We got a 49-inch curved monitor for racers that don't. You can kind of see it there in the bottom screen there, upper left-hand portion of your screen. It's for people that can't do the VR. It makes them nauseous, so that they can still have a good racing experience with a curved monitor, and that's a 144 hertz monitor. I believe my brother told me it's like the best one you can get for racing. So anyways, that's what we ended up getting here for our racers. We do appreciate our racers, as you can tell, and we're glad they appreciate us. So we're definitely going to continue forward and trying to make them as happy as possible. Here in the future, might have a new pinball machine. Everybody's like, well, where are you going to put it? I said, well, I guess we'll just have to jack it to the ceiling, but I think we might end up getting a Foo Fighters here in the near future. There's a couple of them for sale nearby, and I think we might end up getting one of them. But if you guys got another idea for a pinball machine or something you think that you might like here at Lanes Raceway, please let us know, as we are not always going to be in this little building, I don't think, especially as popular slot cars have made a resurgence in the past couple years. Not to mention pinball itself has made a huge resurgence since COVID, of course. That pretty much brought the life back to pinball. Now, of course, I don't have the latest pinball scores and stuff updated on this. I just got the tournament going live today. Yesterday was our 1-year celebration, so we had pinball here for free. All the tracks were turned on for free. Everybody was having a blast. We didn't end up getting out of here till midnight last night. I was going to try to do it if we were going to be able to get out on time, but we alas wasn't able to make time to work on some of this stuff. I ended up having to come up in here really at the crack of dawn this morning and get all this stuff working. That stand that the monitor's on, the monitor hooked up, trying to find a way to get 3 monitors working off of a machine, and then on top of that, get the VR, the new VR Vario Aero VR, which is like the best VR headset you can get. It looks like real life when you're in the racing simulator here at Lanes Raceway. But I'll tell you, it's just been a lot of stuff, and if you've ever messed with PC, you do know how much trouble that it can be just to mess with all that stuff. So a lot of lack of sleep this past week, my wife included. I thank her for bearing with me for sure, and Lord had to get me through it a couple times. We had an internet shutdown yesterday when I got here, right before everybody was supposed to come on in. Our whole network went down. I couldn't get a hold of my brother. He's a network engineer or something even more important than that. I don't know. He does a lot of network stuff with Fairview IT Management. Of course, we had Fairview IT Cup here, you know. But anyways, I tried to fix it myself, reset the routers as you would normally and everything, but the way that all that stuff was communicating with the modem, it was just brutal. Couldn't get it figured out. Nothing was working. No internet in the whole place for like 4 or 5 hours. I shut the door back there, sat down on the thank you, Alicia. It's like I might need to lower the tack, or what do we call it? I can't hardly see. Come on, mouse. Don't fail me now. Out of the frying pan into the fire, I suppose. All right, here we go. This mouse is giving me some troubles. Okay, let's lower that down a smidge, maybe to 29. There we go. Alicia says, happy 1 year, 1 day anniversary. Yeah, thank you, Alicia. Appreciate that. It was very eventful, but yeah, kind of back to the story at hand. I mean, I went back there, I sat down, and I couldn't get a hold of Gabriel, couldn't get a hold of nobody. I sat there, cried, and I said, Lord, you got to send me some help. I need some help. And it wasn't even a tenth of a second later, he calls me, and we spent another 2 hours. I ended up having to lock the door and just tell everybody, hey, I'm going to be busy for the next couple hours. And he ended up having to redo the whole network here. It just completely shut down, but he's got it all updated now. We're not having any connection issues, and I'll tell you what, it's been a blessing the past couple hours anyway. Things have been going pretty well. Like I said, that new machine was a handful to deal with, but I hope everything's coming in pretty clear and good. But I'll be right back with you. I'm going to help a customer, and I'll see you here in just a second. All right, I'm back. Oh, so the pinball tournament's live today, and a lot of people wanting change. Been thinking about that for about the past couple months too, about maybe getting a change machine. I kind of brought that up to Gabe, and I think we've kind of settled on programming Raspberry Pis in like little card form that you can just scan into the pinball machine using a QR reader that's already there, and just load up cards with money. Just make it a lot easier. Then plus people can just carry that around and scan in and not have to worry about having a double scan or something like that. But I did see a good token machine or a coin machine too that would help out a lot here for people to get their change. Because our register, it gets overloaded with quarters because so many people want to get change and everything. And then what ends up happening is the door doesn't want to shut or pop open because it's so heavy. I need to turn this music down a smidge out here. I don't want the racers getting... my mind's going a million miles a minute. I don't want the racers getting too distracted by the music, so I'm going to turn that down a smidgen. There we go. Turn that down to 3. You know, nobody really wants to listen to 80s pop music for the most part while they're racing, but some do. I like just listening to music in general. I think I've told you guys and gals before that Night Train, probably one of my favorite racing / pinball songs. I guess For Whom the Bell Tolls is probably my second favorite, especially for pinball. It just hits a certain way. Really good. So something's going on here. Maybe a few tenths of a second later, Gabriel Kirtley there at the end. About to be done with the first heat here. Paul Woosley earlier this week kind of surprised me with his car. He had his backup car, and we see him out in the lead right now with 89 laps, 3.209. But that car that you're seeing him run right there with the 3.209, I watched him turn a 3.0 in that car. and he was running consecutive 3.1s. So if that's any kind of indication. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to bring the TrackMate over currently. I kind of splashed this together because everybody's wanting to go live. So I hope you guys can see that up in the upper left-hand portion of your screen. Like I said, next week, by next Thursday, I'll have this all integrated to the 4K model, and then you'll definitely be able to see that up there. But pretty close racing so far. We see 89, 85, 83, 82, 81, 80. Pretty much 80s rock and rolling through there. Glenn Burton having a 77 run there on white. He'll let you know he doesn't really like running those upper lanes too much, but he kind of makes up for that when he gets down on the lower lanes there on black. Jackson, of course, newcomer. He's just trying to get his feet wet a little bit there. He didn't really want to run it today. He wanted to focus more on the rookie race coming up next, but we kind of forced him into it. Just simply because he needs to get the practice if he's going to step up into the intermediate class coming up. We have actually talked about that a little bit. I made some posts before in some comment sections on Facebook about having a Thursday and a Sunday and a Friday and a Saturday. I think we've now decided that we're going to have Sunday only on our pro class, on one or maybe two of our pro class, and then every race is just going to have its own individual day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Thursday too. And basically it just makes it just so that we can have more races and more series going at the same time. That's our hope, is that, you know, maybe you don't want to race dirt late model. Maybe you don't want to race IndyCar. Maybe you don't want to race GRC. Well, we're going to have wing cars. We're going to have several other types of races set up for if you have that car, so that everybody can get in a series if they'd like. And then, of course, our diehard racers, they don't care. They want in every series. So if it's a pro series or intermediate series, most likely those will be paid out in cash. All rookie series, of course, will not. They'll be paid out in track time because we want our rookies to get better, so therefore they need track time to get better, and maybe a prize car like we did this last time. There will not be a Little Rumble series coming up next season here in October. But we will have the Rookie Rumble come back, and that'll be for everybody. We just found out that the Little Rumble, we thought a bunch of kids were going to get involved. Very few did, and the ones that did, they started racing the Rookie Rumble, so why not just slot them all together in the Rookie Rumble? They are rookies after all, so nobody seemed to have an issue with that, and I think we're going to move on with that, of course. 4 lights red, going to drop out to a green, and we're going back racing. We see Paul Woosley turning the first lap there with a lap time of 0.9. So he was right there at the start-finish line. But we can see he's running there his best laps and medians there in the 3.2s, running those pretty consecutive. And like I said, Paul has a pretty fast car there on Purple Lane. It looks like with the new video card here, we got a little bit of white blare taking place here. Contrast ratios need to be fixed a little bit on the picture quality there, as we got a little bit of a washout taking place here. I just wanted to make sure we got it up and going. Of course, you guys know Thursday night we wasn't able to do it. That was, I think, the night or the night before, and I was preparing to get everything set up for the new machine that's in. So it's a big ordeal when you get something new tech like that and having everything updated. So, like I said, I just expect better things to come here in the future on the live stream, as I plan on doing some more 4K imaging, more rendering and stuff, as this machine can definitely do it, where we were limited before. My hope is to actually have some like 3D processing done, maybe have some cameras that have the capability of following these slot cars, whereas before with the other machine, wasn't actually capable of doing that, simply because we wasn't able to get the frames per second high enough to even try to complete that task. But with the way that it is now, we can of course increase that, almost giving the illusion that these cars are going at a normal pace, 3 frames per second. It actually kind of makes them look slow-mo, I guess you would say, or smoother, whichever way you want to see it. But I was thinking about maybe putting up a rail or something there on the back stretch of each track, kind of following some of the cars as they go down, and help us keep a better eye on where these cars are located on the track, so that if we're focusing in on a specific racer, That'll just be an object in 3D space that we just lock onto to be able to follow those up close and personal battles that take place sometimes. The good parts about racing. Now, that's what I'm thinking about doing, but whether or not that's feasible or possible, I don't know if it 100% is, but we'll get something a little bit different going on than just static views here for sure. I do know that they do have object trackers, but as for the price of it, it might be a little bit outside of means without creating something of LiDAR detection or something maybe. I don't know. We'll have to look into that a little bit more as we go on. But all I know is we do have a machine capable of doing some nice stuff now with higher resolutions. Of course, I know a lot of you guys and gals out there that watch this stream watch off your 4K TVs. And nothing's more disappointing, especially if you're watching YouTube or any other kind of streaming service, is to have to watch a compressed down 1080p stream when you got a 4K TV. It just makes everything look blurry and washed out. That's pretty much what you're seeing now, so sorry about that. But like I said, by next week, we should have all that stuff fixed. Current bit rate's about 4,500 kilobytes or kilobumps a second. Bits, kilobits. Let me just say bits instead of bumps. Kilobits per second. I think you need 13, if I'm not mistaken, meg to be able to process 4K, which I believe that we have 200 meg connection or something like that here right now. So I think we'll be plenty fine to be able to stream the 4K. But I can already tell just by watching the feed myself that it's a lot smoother. Every once in a while getting some drop frames. Looks like we are dropping heavy on one stream or another currently. I don't know which one it is, but we're getting a lot of drop frames happening. I don't know what stream dropped out. It might be YouTube. Yeah, it looks like YouTube's having some connection issues. Gonna run over and check Twitch real quick. Looks like Twitch is running okay. It could run better, but right now I think that's probably our best running one out of all three. Of course, YouTube just taking a snow dive frames wise, but it looks like it's kind of leveling out now. We dropped about 1,900 frames there in about 30 seconds. Here lately, we've been having some issues connecting to YouTube. Might be an issue with an update or something too, but I figured going through all these updates the past few weeks, we should be good. Yeah, I only dropped about every once in a while now, or yeah, on Twitch. Yeah, Twitch for some reason or another, man, I'll tell you what, it's almost instantaneous. Like they really got their streaming stuff going together there in Canada. At least using Restream.io. We use Restream.io here at Lanes Raceway because it's one of the only streaming services that you can multi-stream. Now, of course, a lot of people say, well, you just ought not to stream to multiple places on one internet connection, but with that Restream.io, you're able to do it, and it works decently. But like I said, we still got some kinks to work out with the software and stuff that we're doing now. But I think it's good enough to throw a live stream in, at least for the purposes of people to be able to mark and see what kind of laps they turn tonight and add that to their credit. Now, I have to still do everybody's for Thursday. There was a race that happened Thursday. Of course, you guys know that wasn't live stream, and I haven't updated the laps for that. But it's been pretty hectic here. Of course, there's been our 1 year and everything yesterday, and then on top of that, all this happening too, and then the guys wanting to try out the new VR day one, and just a lot of pinball and stuff like that, cleaning it, putting lights in them. It's been a lot of work, but I think it's going to be worth it, as everybody really does like a premium experience for sure. I know I do anyway, and the atmosphere here is pretty electric for the most part, and it keeps getting better and better. Everything working together seamlessly just makes that even a better experience. Paul Woosley right now 5 laps ahead of Randy Kirtley. Paul Woosley been on one the past couple weeks. Last week lost to Randy Kirtley by less than half of a lap. The final heat, he of course kind of had a little bit of a fall apart there, about 3 or 4 laps or so. Ended up costing him in the last heat or so, and ended up giving it back up to Randy Kirtley by, like I said, 3/4 of a lap, half a lap. But one that's kind of surprising me tonight is Tom Payton, but not really surprising me so much that it is like just mind-blowing, because last week he had a car that he had built out, and that thing was screaming, folks. But the issue that he ran into was that I think he'd been an axle, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, he'd been a wheel and an axle. Somebody hit him in the back end and busted him up real good and hard. And whenever he got hit up and busted real hard like that, it just put him out of contention. But it seems like he's back in the mix here this week, turning 82 and 84 respectively. 84 laps there, only 5 laps down from Paul Woosley. Of course, the most that we've ever ran here at Lanes Raceway is 90, and it looks like Paul Woosley is trying to make 91 tonight, as he's got 89 and 88 there. Randy Kirtley, the other person, the only one to crack that 89 or that 90 lap record, as we see him with 85 and 87. Gabriel Kirtley doing his best to try to catch up with Tom Payton there. He's running 82 and 83 respectively, 1 lap down from them. Then we got Bruce and Jay kind of having their own little bit of a battle there, just 1 lap different from them, 80, 81, 80, 80. We can see how much these guys have progressed just in this past year alone. When we was first starting running 60s and 70s, and now here they are pretty much running 80s now. So, that was a high score at the beginning. These guys are getting comfortable with their cars. They're building these things out, making them run a lot better, running the lower profile bodies and stuff like that too. It's really helping them out. But we'll be back with you here in about 1 minute and 24 seconds. We'll leave you here with some pinball to watch. Maybe you can learn.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in depth. Aiming and shooting, the basics. General rule for aiming. To begin with, you can use the playfield's artwork as a name guide. Each shot on the playfield has a different spot on the flipper, and the timing determines the direction of the ball. The same rule applies to the upper flipper, but those shots might be harder due to the increased ball speed and different angle of General rule for ball speed. Position on the flipper changes. Shots near the tip of the flipper cause the ball accelerates as it rolls down the top, since the slightest ball movement can affect the shot. As you learn to shoot from an inlane feed, you will notice that the increased ball speed has an adverse effect.
We're back. I've been watching stream for probably about the past 3 or 4 years, watching streams anyway. And when I first started doing streams, I did like video games. I'd put myself in like video game character bodies and stuff and play the video game. And I had a pretty fun time doing that. My brother thought I was goofy and everything. Never was really successful at it. But I mean, you don't do it to get successful, really. You just do it to have like a community to hang out and talk about things that you love. That's the way I do it anyway. I got a lot of friends and simultaneously on the same internet connection. So let me try to fix that real quick, and I think that might help us a lot. All right, hopefully that's a problem solved. I just shut the laptop completely off because as you can see here in the upper left-hand portion of your screen, that is our track software that you're seeing. I know it's a breakdown of everybody's laps and times and stuff like that, but that's also how that we do track time and stuff here at Lanes Raceway. And what I believe is actually took place here is that the laptop was competing with this, trying to ping the same spot on the internet, and we're just getting a little bit of back and forth, maybe confusion. I don't really know, but I do know just by watching here on the right and looking outside the window here Everything is live when it comes to the videos. Not a whole lot of stutter through that. Processing still doing good, 5%, 19%. So not a problem anymore on the hardware issue, but more or less a problem connecting to the individual streaming service. But yeah, if at any time that you do have issues streaming, you can almost always rely on going to Twitch. It's usually an application on your TV, if you got a smart TV, or on your phone. You can get it on your phone. You don't have to really sign up to watch our races. You can just get on Twitch and look up Lanes. Paul Woosley losing a lap or so to Randy Kirtley. Might be where he's getting involved in some incidents there, but we see that Carson, one of our little rumblers there down below the bridge, as he goes to seat a couple of those cars, one of them being Jay Latham's car and the other one being Gabriel Kirtley there by the donut portion of the track. See there at the high banks, that's Paul Woosley, your current leader there at the bottom of the track, trying to keep his car on there in the high banks. I've seen Paul there have a lot of issues coming through the backstretch there on Black Lane before, and his car come off. Not so bad when it's on red, white, and green for him, but down low actually causes him some issues. I know each car is just a hair bit different, as you guys know for sure. It's a hair different every once in a while. Cars don't seat the way that they should. A lot of it has to do with them being bent. I mean, these guys are getting involved in wrecks a lot too, but I think everybody for the most part has their cars set up pretty well here tonight. Of course, we're not running any ghosts. We have a couple racers there here tonight helping us out, so hopefully they'll continue to help us out and get us through. I know Carson was making some comments earlier about how it's very stressful. It's a stressful job. That's why you always hear me saying thank you to all of our track marshals, because it is stressful trying to get people back on. The racers get very passionate, and if you don't get them on quick, you know, they might yell at you and say, get me on, man, shut the track off, or whatever it may be. But you just got to know not just wanting to win. And at the end of the day, it just boils down to, I don't guess I know what FC means, but maybe that means far. I don't know. Sounds good so far. So that's the way I'm going to take it anyway. And that's coming off of YouTube. So our middle section there, of course, is YouTube. The top section is Facebook, and then the bottom section is Twitch. So if you're on any of those, it should pop up there. Okay, there we go. So far, Donovan. Yeah, okay. So good so far. Appreciate that, Michael. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Me and my brother was working pretty hard this morning trying to get all this stuff up and going. So it's good to hear that everything's working good. Appreciate that. Someone's saying that car come out on yellow, that car being Jackson. Jackson not doing too bad down low there. Of course, he keeps continually getting better as we see him race here in the LMP series. Of course, he's not actually in the series, but he's trying to practice up. He wants to step up into the next series. He wants to take it to the next level. Can't say I blame him. But Jackson, he's very passionate about slot car racing. You can see how serious he is right there next to Tom there in the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Just kind of holding it in. I told him earlier this week, you know, he was wanting to know what he needed to do to win. I told him, I said, you just got to be more serious than the guy next to you. Kind of focus on your car, keep it on the track. And for the most part, you win doing that. Now, I'm not saying that works every time. but for the most part, it does work. Because most of the time people wreck. Most of the time people are not paying close enough attention. They don't even hear the wrecks that happen in front of them. But it's a surefire way for sure to see Jackson on the top for sure if he just keeps his car on, because he runs a pretty good lap time in his GRC. Now, of course, we got other kids here too. They asked me several things, and I pretty much tell them all the same thing, that the main thing, especially in the rookie classes, is keeping your car on, because they are rookies. Rookies wreck. And if you can be an outstanding rookie and not wreck, then all you have to fight is the other outstanding rookies that don't wreck, and then your main focus is on them instead of focusing on every single person on the racetrack. Yes, Alicia, he is doing well. Jackson's doing exceptionally well. He was worried today about getting in. Told my brother, he said, I'm not going to get in. I'm going to track marshal and prepare for Jay tonight. So he's worried about Jay tonight. Jay put it on him last week, and I can't say it was unwarranted, because Jackson was talking a lot of smoke. He was getting in Jay's face and telling him he was going to smoke him and beat him down and everything else. And Jay goes, he just said, not today, and Jay beat him by a couple laps. You guys had seen it. And I think it got to him a little bit, and he started getting down thinking he wasn't good. And I was just like, Jay was just being serious. You need to be serious too. Of course, Jackson was cutting up last week. You've seen it in the live stream. He was having a good time. Marley, him, Carson, all of them, Weston, and them boys, when they get together with Dalton, I mean, it's wild in here. Hands go to clapping, people go to screeching. I mean, it's pretty loud in here, and they really do love racing slot cars, but I think they enjoy each other's companies too. So they wasn't focusing too much on trying to win a race. They were more focusing on who could be the loudest, I personally believe, but I may be wrong about that too. – 25 seconds left to go in this heat. Paul Woosley 4 laps ahead of Randy Kirtley. Just goes to show you their medians there, 3.40, 3.41, 3.272, and a 3.27 something was their best lap. And, it's going to boil down to, or 3.267. These best laps are hundredths of a second different, thousandths of a second different. And it boils down, when you get to that point where you're running neck and neck with somebody like that, it boils down to whether or not you wreck. And that just goes back to just what I was saying before. Don't wreck, because if you do, there's somebody there sitting waiting to gain a lap on you. Because at the bare minimum, you will lose a lap, and that's bare minimum. If it's a bad enough wreck that it takes the track marshals a little bit of time to get you, these are 3-second lap times. So we see Paul Woosley there with 262 total laps, an average of 87.3. Randy Kirtley right there behind him with 257 and 85.7 average. Gabriel Kirtley taking back his position there from Tom by 1 lap with an 82.7, and Tom Payton there with an 82.3. Looks like Tom experienced himself a little bit of a slowdown there on purple with 81 laps total turned. We'll see if that same kind of effect takes place there with Gabriel Kirtley. But that's your top 3 there. Rest of everybody else pretty close to the 240 range. Jackson, of course, an outlier there, as we can see Jackson down there at the bottom with 209. But he's running his heart out. He's getting better, like I said, every time he races. So maybe by the time we start that new series here in October, he'll be ready to rock and roll in that for sure. And take you guys back to 8.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills.
Try to do a little shield. 1 minute and 44 seconds. We'll be back green racing with you halfway through
Keith, what's up?
Hey, man. You know, ever since we bought our used truck at Car Bravo, I'm really feeling the used-phoria.
Used-phoria?
Yeah, it's the feeling you get when you buy a used car backed with certified service techs and a nationwide network of service centers.
Is that what all this is about?
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
Car Bravo. Feel the used-phoria.
Welcome to A Flips. Shielding. You can shield the center drain by raising and dropping the flippers depending on the ball's position. If the ball is coming from an angle, you can reduce the center gap by holding up one flipper. Be aware that closing the gap on one side will open it on the other. That's why you should only raise the flippers when it's necessary and let them drop again afterwards. You can achieve the greatest flipper's reach when the flipper is at right angles to the angle of incidence of the ball. Consider the circular motion of the flippers in order to max out your reach, a skill which evolves with experience after seeing thousands of balls training. Flipper management. If the ball heads towards the flippers, there are many control techniques you can use, like dead bounces, drop-in live catches, or nudge passes, explained in my other tutorials. But what do you do if the ball is coming in higher at the in-lane area? Here are some examples of what can happen. To avoid the center drain, simply raise the flipper and wait for the ball to settle.
Alright, I'm back a little bit late to the ticket there. Heard people talking about it was getting a little warm. I walked out there, it was quite warm. Could just be from the outside being really extremely hot, plus the doors are getting fanned quite a bit here. My manager says, cousins talking smack. They do be talking some serious smack around here, Michael. And I mean serious smack. Between Weston and Jackson, those two get together, they are arch rivals. They cannot stand one another on the racetrack. Every other week, I just hear those two. They're like, I'm going to beat him this week. I'm going to wreck him this week. Carson, he kind of sits back there in the back and just kind of stays out of it, makes some dinosaur noises. But I'll tell you what, them two there, they are battling. Speaking of Weston, he's been doing exceptionally well the past couple weeks since he got his new truck body. And he's been pushing up there into the pods. For those that don't know what pods are, that's podiums. But nonetheless, he's been pushing up there in the top three and giving it what for. If anything, if he would just keep his truck on, his car is a little bit faster, I believe, currently than Jackson's is. Now, since Jackson's cleaned his body and got him a new set of tires, I couldn't tell you. Now, he just done that yesterday or the day before. But I know when he was running on his old tires, for sure, Weston's car was just a little bit quicker. Now, of course, quicker's not always better because it makes the guys run a little bit deeper for the most part. Their brakes don't enact as quick, and they kind of do a little bit more coasting. But we'll see how Weston does today. I'm excited to see if he might be able to take that first place, if he can just keep his constitution together and keep his car on and not get involved so much with Jackson in the smack talk train. But old Jackson, he loves a good smack talk for sure. 277, 6 laps up on Randy Kirtley. Seems like Paul Woosley just kind of walking away yet again with this. I don't know if Randy Kirtley needs a new motor, if his tires are bad or what, but he's definitely out of form here the past couple weeks. As we see Gabriel Kirtley there in the stock car starting to catch him a little bit there. 267 total laps, 1 lap ahead of Tom there. Like I said, Tom Payton's car very, very fast also. Gabriel, Jay Latham, both approaching their 8 races. I can't remember exactly how many they like until they get there, but they're pretty close. So they're about to have all 8 of their races. Now, Gabriel can't make it here as often as he'd like. He's got a lot of work stuff going on and things like that. And neither can Jay for the same reason. Jay's over-road trucker and tends to have a lot of time over the road, and sometimes he just doesn't make it here, which is respectful. I mean, I would say myself, as a racer, I never did make every race weekend either. But when these guys come, we do surely like to see these guys racing neck and neck for sure. Jay Latham and Gabriel Kirtley, somewhat of arch rivals, to be honest with you, especially there in the Fairview IT Cup race on the oval. So we might get to see some of that action coming up in the next series if Jay gets involved. They got the super late models, oval only. That's what it's going to end up being. We wrote all this stuff out today. Gabriel Kirtley been working to redo our webpage. So I don't know if he ended up getting that done today or not. We were, like I said, we were quite busy here this morning. But I know he's rewriting the webpage with all the new series and all of the new rules for those series in question. And then, of course, I'll do a little overlook on it and make sure everything's on the up and up, because there's a few series that literally you can't change nothing about them. Like our rookie series, there's no adding weight or nothing. Even in some of our pro series, you're not allowed to add weight. So we'll just see how things work out. And what we really want is we just want people not to break their stuff. But if they do, you know, we got parts, and I do love selling parts too. So it's kind of a love-hate relationship about people tearing their stuff up. But at the end of it all, if I was to say exactly what I want, is I want neck and neck racing. And I know neck and neck racing can't take place if people are loading their cars with weight, bashing them up against the wall and bending them and tearing up the brushes and blowing motors every other week because they got too much weight in the car, stuff like that. If they could just keep their cars intact and keep them straight and drivable, you know, we'll see a lot more of that neck-to-neck style racing, a lot more like what we're seeing here with Paul and Randy, and a little bit there with Bruce and Glenn. Our next series, of course, not going to be lap for lap. So right now, one lap is 1 point in this Pro Series. Our next series are going to be related through points. So we're going to try that. We've tried averages. We've tried lap for lap twice. And then, of course, this run of series events is going to be points-based. So first place will get 100 points, second place 95, 90, so on and so forth. This will encourage people, for the most part, to come on in and try their best to race that weekend so that they can race the individual. And that's, right now what you're doing is you're not necessarily racing individuals. You're racing yourself. Lap for lap, or lap per point, is racing yourself, essentially. So some of our racers really step out and they might turn 70 or 80 more laps than other racers. Well, they won the race, but they get 60 or so laps ahead of other people. It makes it really hard for people to catch. But if somebody has bad luck and they wreck out of the race, you know, if you do it by points, it's a whole lot more serious. So it makes it more serious. They need to make the races, and it makes it more serious too that if they come off or tear up, that somebody can actually get a win that week if their car's not up to snuff that they normally wouldn't be able to anyway. So, and we've seen that a couple times, races coming really close for certain individuals that have had such a high lead on people, end up still finishing in the podium even after stripping out gears or tearing their car up. So I guess that's the kind of stuff you just really don't want to see. You want to see a little bit of change in the field, because on regular racing, if somebody wrecks completely out, you know, there's only one lap or so difference between them. But in this kind of racing, laps do separate anywhere from 20 laps all the way to 70, 80 laps. So just depends on how everybody's racing. Of course, we glued this track up really, really good this race week. And as we can see, we're kind of going through these heats pretty well. Tonight, not really commentated a whole lot on the races themselves, or kind of really focused in on the guys. And I'll just tell you why. It's hard for me to see them. With the way the contrast and stuff set on the track, I have a hard time following these cars because they're so washed out looking. I can't really tell the difference between each individual's cars unless I focus in on what lane they're on. Where normally I got the colors and stuff all set right, and I can tell the difference between red and black really, really easy, and yellow and so on and so forth. So I can tell what type of cars people are running. But I will tell you, if we were giving away awards for the best looking car tonight, that would hands down have to go to Bruce Bullington. Holy smokes. That is one of the most prettiest cars I believe I've ever seen. Maybe after this heat, he might have a little bit of time to bring that baby in here and show us. But man, he put some thick metal flake on that baby, and it's got like a silver back lay into it. Almost kind of looks like a viper sitting down, because not like a viper the car, but like a viper snake, with the little holes in its side of its neck. And he's like painted those white, and he's got his numbers popping through with white. It's a very bright car. I really want you guys to see it. It's pretty. When I seen it and he was out there test driving, it kind of blew my mind how pretty it was. Minute and 30 seconds left to go in this middle round robin heat. I believe this heat we're going to go ahead and get our weighs in, make sure everybody's weighing up correctly after this heat's over with. Plus that gives us a little bit of time. Maybe I can have, like I said, Bruce to show us his car for all y'all that would love to see it. He is now running, Bruce is now running, like most of our racers, the Lola body from JK. I think it's a Lola B, I think is what they call it. Fly's still running me out of here. They come in this this doorway and they get caught inside of our shop here. But man, I think they're coming from the ceilings. I really don't know. They're just everywhere. So Alicia, you've already seen the car. You've already seen Bruce's car. Because I'll tell you right now, that thing is beautiful, and that ain't no smoke being blown there. That is a beautiful car. I mean, he took his time on that. I guess what makes it look so beautiful to me is that all of the metal flake is just laid evenly on that car. It's kind of like walking into like a cornfield, and you go row after row after row, and you see all those corn just lined up in a perfect row. Just how satisfying that is to see. Well, it's the same thing when I see his car. Like, I'm just like utterly satisfied looking at it. I looked at it for a good 5 minutes or so. I'm sure he was wanting to practice a little bit, but I was like, man, I can't get over how good looking this thing is. You know, and I'm excited too. I want to tell you something else I'm excited about. But man, I had an exceptional night. I just heard Transforce Rex growl back there in the background. Had an exceptional night last night playing Jurassic Park. So we bought the machine itself off of a couple guys, brothers actually, in Nashville, or yeah, I think it was Nashville. Yeah, Nashville. And beat the Grandmaster score. I had 599 million, so it was pretty excellent. I had a great time. And of course, yesterday we let everybody sign in and everything else, and just have as much pinball fun as they wanted. So here we go. We're going to get these guys in here. All right, racers, if you would, please bring your cars for weigh-in. Please bring your cars for weigh-in. So now they're going to come in here and weigh. Nobody's actually touched the 90 mark today. Paul Woosley the closest there on Blue Lane. Randy Kirtley down by about 4 laps. He's really close there with Tom Payton. Tom Payton back in third position. Gabriel Kirtley falling all the way to the bottom as he only returns 28 laps there on White Lane. Must have had some issues there with his car. He's pretty much out of this one for sure. Beautiful. Yes. I mean, that is a good word for it for sure, Alicia. As he's going to bring it in here, everybody else that's watching is definitely going to get to see how beautiful his car is. That's Bruce Bullington right there by the donut, folks. That's his car. Hopefully he'll let us take a look at it here real quick. Hey, Bruce, can we see your car real quick? I want to show people on the stream, Bruce, your car, if you don't care. Oh, Jackson. Of course, everybody knows by now. They get as much time as they need in the pits to work on their cars. Yeah, I want to show everybody your car's paint job. So everybody, here's Bruce's get it. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, it is just perfectly laid like you would lay a real car's clear coat. I'm impressed with it. Thank you, Bruce. But yeah, I would definitely give that to the looker of the day for sure. Everybody's good? All right, folks. Going to leave you guys yet again with a little bit of pinball.
Welcome,
skills.
my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in depth.
See, this one has it all.
Step in with your vibe on tank, gonna make everybody move.
Slap safe. The slap safe is an important emergency response, and you will be shocked how many balls you can save with it. Never watch a ball going straight down the middle without even trying to save it, unless the tilt is set up particularly tight. Slapping the flipper button and cabinet at the same time extend the flipper's reach by moving the playfield under the ball. Slap saves won't affect the tilt bob too much, since the impacts are hard and short and the second slap recenters the machine. Judge which flipper is closer to the ball, or if you're not sure, start with your dominant hand. Slap the flipper button, followed up by a second slap with the other hand. The first flipper should hit the ball at a horizontal angle for maximum reach, and the second flipper flails away the ball, with the downside of losing ball control. If your flipper's reach wasn't enough, a nudge pass always could have saved the ball. However, nudge passes will affect the tilt much more than a slap save. For slower balls in the area between the flippers, slap saves are your best friend. You can save balls from unfortunate rebounds, failed microflips and rolling balls off the flipper's tip. This will step up your juggling game to the next level. You also can slap the machine just once, with the goal to get the ball to the opposite inlane or flipper area. This requires some experience, and you have to take the strong impact on the tilt bob into account due to the one-directional force. Practice. You can internalize your hand coordination with dry runs before you start a real game. Later you should be able to slap save without thinking about the movement at all. Try to get away with the least amount of force and evaluate the subsequent bouncing pattern of the ball. Good luck and don't hurt yourself. If you wish to support this project, you can do so in the description down below. You can slap balls. Nudging. You can alter the ball speed and direction in which it rebounds from various obstacles on the playfield by slightly moving the machine, also known as nudging. There are left, right and upward nudges, or you can even slap, shake or pull the machine. Keep in mind that you are moving the machine under the ball, not the ball itself. However, nudging too hard affects the tilt bob and you might get a tilt warning. The wonderful art of nudging plays a huge role in pinball, and if you want to compete in tournaments, there's no way around it. Good players are constantly moving the machine during gameplay. Tilt mechanism on modern machines. If the tilt bob makes contact with the bracket, you get the first of two warnings. The third contact causes a tilt and you lose the ball and your bonus points. Keep in mind that the tilt sensitivity and the number of warnings are adjustable. The tilt debounce determines how long the tilt mechanism stops registering after the tilt bob's initial contact. Nudging basics. Here's a comparison between short hits and slower nudges. Using short and hard hits is the most effective way to nudge, since the tilt bob needs some time to get affected due to its inertia. Although small in physical movement, it often generates enough change in the ball movement to get the desired result. Let the power of your hits explode at the point of contact. Don't push the force through the machine or the tilt bob gets heavily affected. The same physics applies to slaps on the side of the cabinet. Don't push through the machine, but let the hits explode at the point of contact. Left and right nudges are more effective on the lower playfield, while upward nudges are effective evenly from bottom to top. Stance-wise, place your weight over your feet and don't rest on your palms or your reaction times are higher. The tilt bob gets affected more and your wrists may get hurt over time. It is essential to be able to predict the ball's path in order to know how to prevent dangerous situations, memorize repeating bouncing patterns, and take different properties of the rebound material into account. The better your ball prediction gets, the earlier you can prevent unnecessary drains. Floor, legs and feet. Different floor material or leg attachment like rubber feet affects how the machine moves. From factory, feet have a metal base, which slides little to moderate on most floors. However, be cautious if the machine is hardly shuffleable with material like rubber feet. Big moves like death or slide saves can cause a lot of stress on the cabinet and you could damage it. So check out the movability of the machine beforehand and don't slide, death save or shake too hard unless you know the machine's owner. Avoiding the danger zone. Make yourself aware of the danger zone. It covers everything in the sides above the outlanes. Once the ball can make it past the upper post of the slingshot, it is often too late to save the ball. In this example, I wasn't exactly sure about the ball's upcoming bouncing pattern, but I knew I wanted the ball to stay away from the danger zone, even if I could have reacted one bounce earlier. Every time you get an outlane drain, try to identify why it happened and if you could have done something about it. Don't worry if you are not able to do so yet. Now that you have the basics, we will go into specific applications in the second part of the video. A special thanks goes to Robert Sutter, who has over 50 years of pinball experience and is well known for his nudging expertise. Thanks, baby, for supporting me.
Without the right start to your day, your morning could hit a wall.
Is he okay?
Belvita breakfast biscuits are baked with slow-release carbs and provide steady morning energy to help you rise and thrive.
Nudging Part 2. Nudging in detail. The nudging direction depends on how you want to direct the ball's rebound. You can increase its natural rebound by pumping an obstacle on the playfield against the ball. The short and hard hit required here doesn't affect the tilt bob too much, but has a great impact on the ball's rebound. However, sometimes it's not enough to just use short hits because the obstacle is too far away from the ball and you have to cheat a little bit by sliding the machine. Nudging or slapping harder than usual works too, but keep in mind that with all big moves a warning is almost guaranteed. For maximum efficiency, some really good players are even going further by sliding the machine with one hand while hitting it with the other as the ball makes contact with the rebound obstacle. The more experienced you are, the more subtle your nudging should get. Since you only have 2 tilt warnings per ball, you should know exactly when to make use of your valuable chokers. Anyway, you can't save every ball, sometimes you're just unlucky. It's important to understand why you drained and if you could have saved the ball, otherwise you can't learn from your mistakes. Nudge pass. This is a very powerful technique which helps you extending the flipper's reach by nudging or sliding the machine towards the ball. Anticipate its path and try to use as little force as possible. The better your ball prediction gets, the less you have to move the machine. Slow orbit feeds. Slow returning balls coming from an orbit are dangerous. If the ball makes contact with the slingshot, you get in trouble. With a slap to the side of the machine, you can help the ball to get past the slingshots. Combine that with a live catch and you have a very strong technique. Various examples. Here I tried to keep the ball out of the danger zone. The first upward nudge wasn't enough, so I've had to nudge a second time diagonally to prevent an outlane drain. Here I missed to prevent the...
Well, we're still waiting on racers to come to their spots, but I'm sure y'all are probably tired of looking at pinball stuff right now. Alicia says, thanks for showing the car. Looker of the day. It is definitely the looker of the day for sure. Bruce's car just immaculately looking. Kind of shows you what type of chassis and motor setups and everything else that he builds, especially since he's put that kind of time into painting the body and how well it looks. He does equally a good car build the same. When it comes to making just really, really immaculate builds, I'd have to, it's probably a pretty close tie between Randy, Bruce, and Tom, all three of the guys build an exceptional car. Tom Payton can build a silent car. Bruce builds like the cleanest, nicest looking one. And Randy just builds one that's a screamer for the most part. But I guess maybe, we need to give that over to Paul Woosley. As here lately, Paul Woosley's been nigh untouchable. All right, they are ready. If I can get it to skip. And here we go, folks. Going back green racing. A little bit of lag in the system here. Hopefully nothing tears up. Whew, thank goodness. Like I said, having a few issues the other day with our network. Had a full rebuild. Everything been updated. We see Gabriel Kirtley, he's out. Folks, he had a pretty big issue there. His motor up into his axle. So he said, I can't race for the win. I'm out. But we tried to convince him, me and Dad, that you need to just get back in there and get laps because you're not going to be able to get all your races. Of course, if you don't get all your races before the end of the period, it's as if you never raced. So I think for the most part, everybody except for maybe Jay, I think Bruce has all 8 of his. Tom's got all 8 of his. Glenn's got his. Randy, Paul, Gabriel, Guillermo, Amani, Play. Those are just a few names I know right offhand. But anyways, they have to run at least 8 races to say that they've been in the series. So, we've had a little over double of that is the amount of races. But nonetheless, even if not, they're still in the series. It's just that they won't be running for any of the prizes that'll be given out. Four minutes and 6 seconds left to go. Paul Woosley just running his own game there. Best lap of a 3.242. Tom Payton there coming back up in the midst now. Gabriel Kirtley, like I said, just fully dropped off. Jay Latham right there nipping at his toes. Down by about 10 laps. And Glenn Burden and Jay now fighting neck and neck as Glenn Burden takes back Jay's position. And Bruce Bullington, he's in the mix with them too. 330 to 340 range. Gabriel Kirtley in here, minding what he wants to do gear ratio wise for his next setup on his car. And a hard hit up into the high banks of the track there. Looks like Jay Latham involved in that. Dana Durham getting both of the cars put back on. Jackson and Jay getting a little bit of contact rolling around the old high banks. See Jay Latham there coming off the track. Must have had a pretty big incident there to take place as Jay Latham goes to fix something. Of course, he has 30 seconds to work on that car before we go back green, but I guess it wasn't in good enough shape for him. He wanted to kind of fix or tweak on it a little bit. Allergies been killing me about the past 3-4 days. I guess the corn's just getting to that point where it just wants to fill Kentucky air with dust. Nonetheless, corn's about to be coming in here for too long. I'm thankful that all of our farmers was able to get a decent crop in, it looks like so far. I hope blessed with the biggest crop they've ever had. That would be nice. T quickly getting the car put back on there in the horseshoe. Like I said, Glenn Burton, Jay Latham, Bruce Bullington had a little bit of a knockout drag out here. 7 laps separates all 3 of them. Tom Payton about 9 laps ahead of that there in third place. Drawing pretty close there to Randy Kirtley. About 14 or so laps separates him from Randy Kirtley. But Glenn, Tom, Randy, and Paul all running 47, 48 laps so far in this heat. Like I said, Tom Payton's, what he's doing with his car definitely is setting that thing up to be a little bit faster and a little bit smoother and a little better handling every single race weekend. So we might see Tom actually get up in the mix there and rumble around there with Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley. I think what boils down to now simply is he's about a tenth of a second different median-wise, so his average is about a tenth off. But if he can work on that and get his average up to that, I don't think he's having much problem keeping his car on the track. Now, he is running a Lola body, but it's the two-seater A body, I think, is what it's called. JKP two-seater Lola. It's an older body. Carson getting the cars put back on there in the donut. Jay Latham, Bruce Bullington, and Paul Woosley coming around the donut. Robert Bishop there in the upper right-hand portion of your screen there, playing a little bit of pinball as the new pinball tournament underway. Put an exceptional score last month on Rush and forgot to sign in. It was horrible, as he had one of the best scores I'd ever seen. Since we got the new multi-balls here at Lanes Raceway, these machines have been flying. I can hit a shot like I was Bill Hickok, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't no broadside of the barn for me. I'm dead eagle shot shooting aspirins out of the sky. I just feel unreal, especially like I said there in the Jurassic Park. Something kind of interesting too here at the race going on right now is we got it paused. Gabriel Kirtley red, Jackson white, and Bruce Bullington blue. Your bottom three, red, white, and blue. But yeah, I was rescuing people last night in Jurassic Park, and I was getting the double multi-balls. And there's nothing like that when you're on the first ball and you rescue 7 in a row and you get that loop in the amber, and you're able to get 2 multi-balls off of one shot, or two extra balls off of one shot. I'm telling you, there's not a feeling like it. But then, like my luck, after that first ball magic, I just fell apart. Lost about 3 balls in a row, and then my constitution went down, I guess you would say, there in pinball play. But I still was able to come off with $599 million. I think it's the most that we've seen here at Lanes Raceway. Nobody's got the GC yet here at Lanes Raceway, but man, I was close. I was so close. 600 and I think 50-something million was grand champion, so I was right there. If I would have just kept my head in the game and, actually focused on my ball, but I got so excited after that first ball, I was like, I'm definitely getting GC, and I got too complacent in my play, and I allowed the ball to do stuff that I normally wouldn't, and I lost, Watched the tournament last week or the week before with Glenn Burden. We kind of found out some special moves there. All of the tournament players really try to push the Raptor tank or Raptor cage right out of the gate and get that Raptor multi-ball going into a full-blown multi-ball there. And tried that. It's pretty good points, especially whenever you get the control room active. But you don't get those extra balls as easy. So I think I might stick with my strat, get those extra balls. Now, of course, in tournament play, they don't allow you to have those extra balls, so that's probably why they don't go that route. 18 seconds left to go. Paul Woosley, your leader right now by about 4 or 5 laps still. Him and Randy Kirtley within that run with each other. His median kind of slowing down there, 3.42, about a couple hundredths of a second difference between his median and Randy Kirtley's 3.38. Like I said, bowling down to Rex here. So Paul Woosley probably had a wreck, maybe 2 wrecks that last heat. Randy Kirtley was able to capitalize a couple of laps there. Both of their averages really, really tight together. 85.8, 86.8, 1 lap different between each other on average. Tom Payton there, 82.4, and then we see the 3 that's been battling all race long, 79.8, 79.2, and 78.4, Glenn, Jay, and Bruce. But going to leave you guys yet again with some pinball skills. So maybe
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball.
And we'll get right back.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in depth. Microflip skill set. Microflips are done by releasing and pushing the flipper button very quickly, and they are mainly used to keep the ball under control. In combination with other techniques, the full potential of microflips can be achieved, which I will explain to you now. Flick pass. If a rolling ball is too slow for a ski pass, you can use a microflip to pass the ball to the other side. When the ball comes down the in-lane, you can also take away its momentum by hitting it with the base of the flipper and set up a more precise pass. Stopping the ball. If you don't want to transfer the rolling ball, you can also stop it with the help of a microflip. It's done like a flick pass, just earlier. This is especially useful during multi-ball, because you can cradle up and think about your next shot. Be aware of the ball jumping back to the in-lane, because making contact with the metal causes the ball to accelerate towards the middle. Setting up your backflips. Microflipping a cradled ball can set up backflips which can hit targets from an extreme angle. This wouldn't be possible with common backhanded shots from a cradle. You can practice your microflip skills by starting from a position where the ball is trapped. Combine all 3 techniques with the goal to regain ball control. Those techniques are mostly affected by game steepness, flipper angle and flipper rubbers. Good luck! Please leave a comment if you have any further questions or requests. If you wish to support this project, you can do so in the description down below.
With the most beautiful car, not making podium, tell him his son-in-law said get some laps. I will, for sure. He's fixing to go green racing right now, but I will tell him on the next break for sure. I'll get up and go tell him. As we go back live racing here, now Paul Woosley about 5 laps ahead of Randy Kirtley. Their medians there respectful right there in one another. Him, Tom Payton, and Paul Woosley. Glenn Burden there, 403, trying to bridge the gap there. So is Jay Latham and Bruce Bullington, as they're all right there with each other within 5 or 6 laps of each other also. So we've got a little bit of a split here, right down the middle, it seems, of our racers fighting with everything they can to get to those positions. Of course, our podium, for the most part, always tries to battle each other a little bit. But we do starting to see about a 20-lap difference between Randy Kirtley and Tom Payton. Tom Payton kind of somewhere in no man's land. He's just going to have to keep hanging on and not wreck to be able to clinch that podium tonight. Randy Kirtley, on the other hand, he's going to have to step up his game alongside, hoping that Paul Woosley makes a couple wrecks here. But like I said, who knows? So it looks as if Lane's Raceway is under development here right now. I'm seeing here Mondays $10 unlimited track time, $15 unlimited track time with rental and pinball VR. also. Now, that's not unlimited pinball and unlimited VR for that, but those are two separate things. So I guess that's just saying that we have pinball and VR. Might need to better specify on that. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the same thing. Unlimited track time, $15 unlimited track time with rental. So you save it about $5 there on a full day, and saving a little over half there if you got your controller. On Thursdays, looks like modified oval racing at 5:30, IndyCar road racing at 7. Fridays, it's going to be Friday Night Lights, pinball party day for people that love pinball and pinball competitions if we get enough people. Saturdays, all day stock GRC racing every hour, on the hour, oval, and then a rotation into road and vice versa all day long, starting at 3 p.m. and ending at 9. Single entry fee of $25, race all day long. Sundays, Rookie Rumble GRC stock racing, and wing car road racing at 5, dirt late model oval racing at 7. So it's essentially what you're looking at, folks, come October. So we're halfway through the heat here, a little over 3/4 of the way through this race. Our leader, still Paul Woosley out there. He's been leading all race long, holding Randy Kirtley off. Randy Kirtley there staying close on his hips, as we can see his median being just a little bit better than Paul's, but must have got involved in some sort of a wreck there, as we can kind of see that he's only 1 lap difference from Paul, or it just could mean that he was on the back stretch at the beginning of the race. Tom Payton, 458 laps, running a good race there as he's trying to find that extra 1/10 of a second he needs. But we can see that he's running a very fast race. But Glenn Burden there running about 0.07 of a second faster on average than Tom there in 4th place. So he keeps that up. We'll probably see him reel Tom in a little bit. Of course, Glenn Burden being on his black lane, he loves the old black lane. Nicknamed the old Bobby Pierce coming around there on black. Jay Latham, of course, he's running a 3.54, about 0.04 of a second faster than Tom, so he's going to be on the climb too. So is Bruce there with about 0.02 of a second faster, now 0.03 of a second faster on average. Going to make that climb also. So basically, Tom can't let the pressure get to him, because if he does, we might see a change in that 3rd place podium finish, as we've got it down to about 20 laps difference now, or 10 laps difference now between Glenn Burden and Tom Payton, with 1 minute and 11 seconds left to go. 2 heats left to go, though. That's still 10 minutes worth of racing. Anything can happen in that, depending on how warm these cars get. Or if the brushes are about to go out on them. I mean, you've seen how quick Gabriel Kirtley dropped, and now he's completely out of the race. So anything's still yet to happen as we continue on. Jackson there with 400 laps, only 50 laps down from Bruce, one of our pros. So now we see Jackson, he's kind of finding a little spot for his own. He told me earlier he's just letting people pass him there on the back stretch and trying to stay out of people's way the best that he can. Get a yellow flag there as we got several cars piling up there on the back stretch, causing a little bit of an incident here. About 47 seconds left to go at the end of this heat. Wife doing an exceptional job there at the horseshoe, getting people put back on. Of course, we see Weston in the upper right-hand portion of your screen getting ready for the Rookie Rumble coming up next, our GRC rookie class, where they're racing for 6 months of track time. So they're definitely going to like that whenever they get a little slip of being able to come in here whenever they want, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, and get all the track time they need to get better. Paul Woosley turning 2 laps more than Randy so far. His car on another level for sure, running the best lap of 3.328 on white Randy Kirtley, of course, turning the best lap there on yellow with 3.256. So both of them just there right next to each other. Car coming off in the high banks in a full speed come apart as three cars end up slamming the car that come off. That car coming off in the high banks was Jackson. I don't think it was his fault, but just the car just getting unsettled there. As we see, looks to be Dana Durham there trying to get the car of Jackson put back on. Could have been a blipping issue where he missed a blip, but still up in the air on that. Don't forget to blip. Blip here. It's about time for a haircut from this old guy. He's a little long in the tooth. Might shave it off with a razor blade. Red flag rotation. That's the end of round robin 6 of 8. Your leader still, Paul Woosley. And we will be right back with you after a short break.
Welcome, my name is Abe. Dead bounce. You can use dead bounces to pass the ball to the opposite flipper and reduce the ball's momentum. That makes it a strong control technique, with nothing more required than resisting the urge to flip. You can use the whole flipper's range for a dead bounce, but be cautious with balls heading towards the base of the flipper. If the ball slightly makes contact with the inlane guide, a drain is almost unavoidable, which is especially true for metal guides. Those drains are probably the #1 reason for failed dead bounces. As a rule of thumb, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. But there are many other factors affecting the rebound which you should take into account, like ball speed and spin, flipper max, angle and rubber, and especially the playfield's pitch. Occasionally, the ball can hit the lower post of the slingshot after its second bounce and potentially drain. Prepare yourself and you will have no problem to get back in ball control. On rare occasions, the flipper mags are loose and worn out, which can absorb the ball's energy. Thus, your dead bounce might become a deadly bounce. Practice. The full potential of dead bounces can be achieved with well-timed short and hard nudges. If you have the opportunity for free plays, let random balls bounce off the flippers and then drain without flipping at all while observing the bouncing pattern. You might be amazed with how many bounces you can get away with. For game-specific bounces, you should observe and memorize from which feet you can get safe bounces like scoops and orbits. Playing with one hand behind your back is probably the best way to learn how to predict the ball's path and forces you to trust your bounces. Both things are super important, and here you have the perfect drill, which I highly recommend to include in your training routine. More tutorials are on the way, and please like my videos, this helps the algorithm. Drop catch. The variability of the drop catch makes it applicable in many situations, resulting in one of the most powerful skills in pinball. A drop catch is used to gain ball control and set up a safe shot. Raise the flipper as the ball approaches it and let it drop again at the exact instant the ball makes contact. If the ball approaches at the right angle, you should prefer drop catches over shots on the fly, because with shots on the fly, your shot range from left to right is decreased and you do not have the same level of ball control. Typically, you can catch returning balls from failed shots, scoops, balls bouncing back from various targets, or even from ski passes. You can catch balls from nearly any direction as long as it heads towards the middle or the base.
All right, we're back, and I did make sure and tell Bruce he has the most beautiful car on there, but he's going to need to get some more laps for that podium. And he says that y'all now have 3 TVs to watch this. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, well, maybe, when it's all said and done, they'll just need their cell phone. We get it all in 4K. They can watch it all on their cell phone on the go. But I also said that it's pretty easy to tell guys, these racers, to get them better laps behind the screen. Because I know for a fact I do it. I tell them they need to get them better laps. They need to do better. But it is tough. Yeah, that's right, Chili. That's right. Heard my dog. He's getting upset at me. But yeah, I mean, these guys are under a lot of pressure. I mean, I know y'all know that how much pressure these guys are under when they're neck and neck with each other like this. All senses rolling all at once. You know, am I going to blow a motor? Am I going to get into this guy? Is somebody going to wreck under the bridge? Can I make it under the bridge? Because you can't see under the bridge. So a lot of things going on all at once, and keeping your mind about you through all that stuff it's tough sometimes. I've been there, and the orange track is just one of those tracks that it's like you just never can fully get comfortable with it ever. And I will say it's dead man's corner. It's always dead man's corner with me. It's the one place that is the most unpredictable because, you know, you be in the middle lane and be like, yeah, I'm not going to be in any trouble. The guy wrecked on black, so there's no way he's going to be in my lane. And that'll be the one time he's in your lane. So you can't see what you can't see. And sometimes you get caught up in it, tear your car up, rip your body off, bend your chassis, and it just ain't the same for the rest of the race. That's why Gabriel Kirtley just went ahead, called it a race. And my wife, excellent. Getting those cars put back on. Paul Woosley coming off there, but that's why my brother just called it a race. He called it a race and started working on his car, so he'll be back strong for the next one. I need to get me a microphone stand. My face is itching with all this corn. It is killing me. Because I'm always, when it gets a little warm in here, it just makes me sneeze. It makes my whole sinus area just tickly. I need to cut my hair. Everybody made a comment on me a while ago when I went out there saying I need to get my hair cut. I think I do. I think I need a haircut. 2 minutes and 48 seconds left to go. After this, folks, there's only one more heat to make your move. And as we can see, Glenn Burden there, he's about 13 laps difference, I guess, from Tom Payton. So we get a follower there on Randy Kirtley's lane. Somebody come in hot and hard. We heard a pretty good smack there underneath the bridge. The car in hand, my wife looking at it. As we see Jackson's car come completely to a full speed come apart. I believe a broken axle was the culprit there. So Randy Kirtley lost the car here, folks, on his own lane. And it wasn't even his car that he was racing. But nonetheless, this happens sometimes. Sometimes you come off, sometimes you break axles. Like I said, I don't wish it upon nobody, but we do have axles for sale here in the shop. And I'm sure Randy Kirtley will be fixing that when he gets done. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Paul Woosley, still your leader. Tom Payton there, hanging on with everything he's got. Like I said, about 13 laps separates him from Glenn. Jay Latham there, just nipping at the toes of Glenn. 2 laps different. Bruce Bullington there, a few laps down from Jay, and Jackson, of course, out of the race now. He's going to drop back to where Gabriel's at, completely off the grid. But Jackson can actually legit say he beat Gabriel Kirtley today's race, as he will have turned more laps than Gabriel Kirtley. I need to sneeze, ladies and gentlemen. I need to sneeze. Whew. It's the world's worst time of the year in Kentucky. Of course, if you've ever been around corn, when they grow corn, flies just live on corn. If you've ever been in a cornfield, so they invade anywhere that's nice and cool. And then on top of that, when you go outside, it's muggy and it's just dusty with corn juice, not juice, but the powder. It's killing me. I know I'll probably have a sinus infection before the week's done just because of it all. But if I don't get it in about a week, I will definitely get it during the fall time when all of it dries out. And just never fails. But I would say a valiant effort done by Jackson here. Let's take a look at his tire setup. Let's see what took place here. That's a hollow axle snapped right in two, folks. I don't know if we can see all the way through it or not. kind of see there, right there. Anyways, carbon hubs, medium hubs, the tire's down pretty low on it. So I would say an issue of both, just sheer tire size, probably causing the chassis to drag. Not making that car handle too good, especially on the upper lanes. Looks like might have spooled one of the teeth in the pinion on wreck, but it might be able to be salvageable. The spur gear might. Really, you just won't know until you put another axle in it. But being it's a backup car, I don't think it's too big of a concern. We get a hard hit yet again. A car coming off there in the horseshoe portion of the track. Paul Woosley there getting his car set back too. Everybody running right at the 70s except for Jackson here. Randy Cartley just breaking the 80s lap range there as he gets it within 5 laps to Paul Woosley. Definitely this is the time Randy needs to make as many laps as he possibly can to be able to try to catch Paul, but Paul's just on one tonight, not wrecking. That car's running beautifully. Hardly any issues whatsoever, and he's pretty quick there on red lane to be turning into 3.3, almost a 3.2. That car is in tow, handling great. Like I said, nobody turning the 90s tonight, but our top 3, Paul Woosley, Randy Kirtley, Tom Payton so far. We're going to come back for our final heat, get a little more in depth in the final portions of this race. I'll leave you with a little bit.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here
First psoriasis, then psoriatic arthritis.
Even walking was tough.
I had to do something. I started Cosentix.
Cosentix can help you move, look, and feel better by treating the multiple symptoms of psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections, some serious, and the lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to. Tell your doctor if your Crohn's disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
Watch me.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentix.
drop catch. The variability of the drop catch makes it applicable in many situations, resulting in one of the most powerful skills in pinball. A drop catch is used to gain ball control and set up a safe shot. Raise the flipper as the ball approaches it and let it drop again at the exact instant the ball makes contact. If the ball approaches at the right angle, you should prefer drop catches over shots on the fly, because with shots on the fly, your shot range from left to right is decreased and you do not have the same level of ball control. Typically, you can catch returning balls from failed shots, scoops, balls bouncing back from various targets, or even from ski passes. You can catch balls from nearly any direction as long as it heads towards the middle or the base of the flipper. Otherwise, the ball won't get enough counterspin to rest on the flipper. Drop catches also can be done with the upper flipper. After a good catch, the ball will rest on the flipper for a moment. The timing for the upcoming shot changes drastically, and you have to counteract by shooting later than usual. Delayed drop catch. Drop the flipper a split second later than usual, and the ball will roll up the flipper back into the inlane. That comes in handy since you want to be able to use the whole flipper's range for your upcoming shot. Watch out as the ball transitions from the inlane to the flipper's rubber, because delayed drop catches often impart a spin to the ball, and the slow ball speed causes the ball to hop at the transition. You can counteract this by shooting later, or simply cradle up for a safer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 1 second left to go. We're going to see red lights fill, drop out to green, and we're going green racing. Your leader right there on green lane, Paul Woosley. Rookie Rumblers getting ready, getting their stuff situated as they're going to be coming in next. I'm going to kind of focus in a little bit here on Randy Kirtley, as he is about 5 laps or so different from Paul Woosley. And, well, actually, even a bigger one here down low, Jay Latham and Glenn Burden there. Jay Latham down on black, 567 laps. If he can keep it in, we'll keep kind of track of him until we see a wreck take place there. As he comes around the donut portion of the track there, we can see him kind of holding off to the best of his ability there, Glenn Burden. But he's going to be able to make that pass, but then his car comes off. Or no, he plows the car down. Don't know whose car he just plowed down, but he plowed one down there in the donut portion of the track. Paul Woosley getting his car put back on. This will be detrimental for Paul. It's 4 minutes, some change left over. Randy Kirtley runs an exceptional white and red lane there. 618 laps to 623. But it's been the same old slogan all night long. About 4 or 5 laps separated Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley all night long. So if it's any indication of what is to come, most likely we're going to see Paul Woosley there in victory lane yet again tonight. So we're getting a little give and take here between Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley. It's just going to boil down to whether or not everything stays on the up and up. Tom Payton coming off on red lane, still holding down that third place. He's been doing an exceptional job all night holding that place down. Ran into a little bit of trouble there with Gabriel Kirtley early on, but since has worked that out since Gabriel Kirtley and Jackson Darty completely out of the field right now. 3 minutes and 17 seconds left to go. We're starting to see a little bit of clustering take place here. Glenn Burden and Jay Latham there, both respectively being 29 and 30 laps. Bruce Bulletin there towards back about 11 or so laps down from one another, from him and Jay. Not having the success that he definitely wants to have tonight, but sometimes that's how it goes. But we can also see that Jay Latham and Glenn Burden's battle kind of separating a little bit too, as we see Glenn Burden holding his own. Glenn Burden about 7 laps down from Tom Payton. Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley pretty much on the same lap with one another. Like I said, 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Nothing really exciting. No nail biters here to say. Like I said, now approaching that 4-lap difference between Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley there on the upper portions of the track. With halfway to go on this last heat, I don't think we're going to see much of a change here, folks. I think you're looking at your first through sixth. And unless something serious happens here. But everybody's just running right there with each other in their own group. So, you know, Tom Payton probably needs to pick it up a little bit. But with 2 minutes left to go, I just don't think there's going to be a gap bridge that far. You know, he would need several more laps to be able to catch him, right at 9 laps. One minute and 33 seconds left to go. Paul Woosley still holding it out. Randy Kirtley able to turn right at a lap more than him on this heat, but still within 4 laps. It's just like he just can't get to that point. Paul Woosley's most he's turned, I believe, was 698, 96, 696, 698. It's going to be close to that tonight for sure with 1 minute and 13 seconds left to go. Almost 670 right now. It's all over, but just seeing if Paul Woosley can break his own record. 1 minute left to go. A yellow flag car coming off underneath the bridge, and Dana Durham's going to take care of that. Don't know if y'all caught it today, but kind of snuck up on me and my brother. The IndyCar race that took place in Nashville today, a lot more eventful than it was last year. Everybody still thinking it was going to be like last year, nothing but yellow flags and busted up cars, but really wasn't too bad of a race, to be honest. Scott Dixon, pretty surprising. So if you haven't seen it, maybe check it out on, I think, YouTube. You can check it out. 19 seconds left to go. 6 laps separates Tom from Glenn Burden. 7 laps separate Jay from Glenn. Bruce Bullinson about 10 laps down from Jay. Randy Kirtley still about 4 or 5 laps. 16 seconds left to go. Looks like Paul Woosley's going to get that probably 689 row. Maybe a little over. As we get a yellow flag, and we're going to have 4 seconds left to roll, so he might break the 690. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. 690 laps turned for Paul Woosley, followed by Randy Kirtley with 685 and Tom Payton with 652. Fourth down, we got Glenn Burden 645, Jay Latham 639, Bruce Bulletin 629, and Jack Sidarty 449, and Gabriel Kirtley bringing up the rear with 276. We're going to get a picture of these, and then, of course, we're going to have our top 3 lineup for a podium picture for tonight. This is Donald Kirtley here at Lanes Raceway. Thank you for tuning in to this somewhat thrown together L&P Thunder Series race. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Rookie Rumble. We're going to stop this stream now and fire that up, and we'll be right back with you here. Get Gold Green Racing here in just the next few minutes. So God bless you. Thank you. This is Donald Kirtley, Lanes Raceway. See you soon.